So I have a it's funny. I feel like it's gonna be a book of mine one day, but pain, purpose, profit.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we coming out early.
oh,
They said that the PPP.
oh,
You heard? You heard?
oh, I like that one.
But speaking about that pain, right? Through the pain, you found a way to reverse that energy, right? To take those the stones that people threw at you and make them stepping stones.
Yeah.
But now it's incomplete because the picture's not done yet. The story's not over, right? Actually, it just started.
Literally.
Right? Because now I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna use those words. I'm gonna use those situations as wood words, and I'm gonna let it fuel my fire. You feel what I'm saying? So with that, now you take that and understand there's a profit. And the reason why I'm saying there's a profit because you can make an impact and a profit at the same time. When I told you about adding value, I add so much value. So I gave you an example. One of my favorite books, I'm an avid book reader, is The Go Giver.
Okay.
Right? I'm not the go getter. I'm the go giver,
So
right?
doing it by myself, it's kind of like it's making it tough, because and then I got kids, so it's hard for me. I just learned time management, so that was my biggest thing this year. Was like, every day at 8:00, come in here till like 10, boom, boom, get something done at least. You know what I mean? But then it's hard to really do it because that editing, that shit takes like 4 hours a day.
It does.
I got a little infant, so when it comes. That's why I'm listening to you, because when it comes to the packages and charging people, like nobody teaches that stuff. You know what I mean? Like they don't teach that in high school. I would wish they would make it like every child had to like make up their own T-shirt branding or something.
Yes,
you had to present that to the class, just so you knew like, okay, here's how you make a package deal. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do that. And especially as a content creator, I really don't know how to but I hear what you're saying about increase the value.
But I would tell you this is you gotta make sure you're in the room. So what you're doing now is dope. I need you to get in the room with people who are doing it at the level you want to be at, so you can get the gems that you need.
Very true.
So what you'll find with me is that, just to be honest, like in most cases, a lot of times Connecticut doesn't exactly have the things that I want from an entrepreneur. That's why for me it's like if it's not here, it's because I didn't create it. So there's things that I'm creating and I'm collaborating with people now in order to provide that space so we can have these conversations, so we can give the gems. Because for the last 5 years, I've been Miami, Atlanta, DC, Houston, Cali, right?
Where
like
they do
New York, where they do it, right? I got to drive 3 hours. I got to hop on the train to go get some, right? To go get the gems. Now, mind you, I'm going to go. But the thing is that the African word Sankofa, right? To leave and come back. Right, the Sankofa bird brings it back. So how important that is. Because as I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm developing, I'm like, all right, cool. Now, how can I build that ecosystem here? Because if we can do it here, just a simple conversation of a talking, like, okay, yeah, this is how you can package it up. Because everybody's on a different part of the climb.
Got you. So, you might be in here for a minute, y'all, because he got my mind spinning. Nah, because it's so crazy, because literally every interview I meet somebody that takes me in that room. You know what I'm saying? Like every interview I have, I'm meeting somebody that could put me in a position. And I like what you got me earlier when you walked in here. It does come down to knowing yourself and like your value of yourself. And I think over these past couple of years, I've been in like a big battle of self, But now I'm coming out of it. And I see the value of the pain I was in, right? So I see that value, but now I see the value of how this thing was birthed out of that pain.
Talk to me.
I just don't know how to put a price.
So I have a it's funny. I feel like it's gonna be a book of mine one day, but pain, purpose, profit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we coming out early.
Oh.
They said that the PPP.
Oh.
You heard?
Oh, I like that one.
But speaking about that pain, right? Through the pain, you found a way to reverse that energy, right? To take those the stones that people threw at you and make them stepping stones.
Yeah.
But now it's incomplete because the picture's not done yet. The story's not over, right? Actually, it just started.
Literally.
Right? Because now I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna use those words. I'm gonna use those situations as wood words, and I'm gonna let it fuel my fire. You feel what I'm saying? So with that, Now you take that and understand there's a profit. And the reason why I'm saying there's a profit because you can make an impact and a profit at the same time. When I told you about adding value, I add so much value. So I gave you an example. One of my favorite books, I'm an avid book reader, is The Go-Giver.
Okay.
Right? I'm not the go-getter. I'm the go-giver, right? Now, with that, they had the 5 astronomical laws of success. The number one, this is what goes back to me in pricing, is to give more in payment to give more than you receive in payment.
Okay.
Right? To undersell and over-deliver. Right? So for me, I just over-deliver. I kind of cut it out. I was like, look, I'm just over-delivering every time I do something. So if I go and I give you, and you go and you bring me in to do something, my thing is to make sure that I gave you so much sauce, that I gave you so much value, that I gave you so much ability, that the lifetime value of what I gave you is a 10x multiplier. Damn. Right? Like you got to look at it and be like, am I investing? Is this an investment or an expense? And when people tap in with me, it's an investment. Right? And that's where when we're looking at, but you don't just start there though. Right? Once you start like to dig into like the stuff in your pain, the stuff in your story, you really understand, like I said, your purpose. And my purpose is that like I didn't give up. Right? Like the fact that you here.
I say it every day.
You a survivor,
here.
bro. Like
still here.
Right? God gave you that grace. Right? Gave you that opportunity. So like with that, what am I going to do with it? Right? Like the gift that he gave me was my blessing. But that's it. But he didn't keep it for me. He gave it so I can share it. Right? And it's about finding that thing. Some of us find it easy. Some of us got to work for it. So for me, once I found my voice, and it was hard for me to find my voice. Once I found my voice, I started understanding that I was supposed to be in every room. That my gift wasn't a have to, it was a must. I was obligated to share this thing. Right? Because when I don't speak my truth, when I don't add my value, when I don't give what it is that's inside of me to people, right? I'm taking away from them. Right? And it's like, because I think sometimes we think about where we want to go so much instead of how far we've come. And there's people where we were who are looking at us right now like, my man, you got this whole... Fam, I walked in here, I said, I see it.
You know how many people have done that? And
I see it.
And I just be like, yeah, this is it, guys.
I see it. Because it's hard to stand in that. Right? It's hard to stand in that at first. But then it's like, once I started understanding this is validated by God, though. This ain't me made. This ain't self-made. When it's self-made, right, I got that insecurity. When it's God-made, it's a whole different story.
Yo, and I'm gonna get you right there because this is a God thing, right? I shouldn't have this room right now. You know, when I first started this thing, I'm gonna tell you. When I first started this thing, I had a pastor friend of mine shame me for it.
Come on now.
He shamed me. He was like, "What's wrong with you? You up there cussing, blah blah blah. You and your cousin up there smoking and everything." But what he didn't. But then I had another boy. You know, Junior Jones. It's my boy. R.I.P. Junior. He called me. He was like, yo, keep doing it. Devin Johnson did the same thing. He said, yo, keep doing it. He said, but watch God flip that thing and turn it for him. Never, and now this is like 2 years ago. I've been doing this for about 2.5 years now. Yeah. So looking back at it, I was nowhere, me, I was like, nah, I'm good. Church people, I'm good with y'all. I'm good. I needed that break. I've been doing this since I was like 15 in the church. So I was like, yo, y'all lying. I'm gonna do my thing. This is my own selfish thing. But literally, as I kept going through that pain, I kept finding that purpose. And dude, like the profit from pain and purpose coming together. And now I'm sitting here like, but here's my challenge. And here's what I want to ask you too, because I could rant all day about some stuff.
Yeah, talk to me.
How did you manage as a young Black man? I'm gonna call you young because, man, I hope to look this good when I'm that old one day. This man's skin ain't cracked yet, y'all. Golly. How do you manage to keep your self-esteem high, not just in the essence of waking up every day, doing the daily things, but in the essence of going to sleep every day, knowing you did some things, knowing you said some things, and knowing that some things weren't right? How do you manage to get out of that and still continue to do what you do? That's the part I can't figure out right now.
Delayed gratification. I think maybe it helped me because of sports. Okay. But I take it deeper than that. So I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Uh-oh.
Then I moved to Connecticut.
What made you come over here?
So I'm Black and Native American.
Okay.
So I'm Narragansett. So and the Massachusetts are my cousins.
Oh.
So that's fam. So my mom moved here because the casinos, right? And she got a job. True. And we was in Brooklyn. And shout outs to Bill Gates because my mom had me at 16. Right? She was at Franklin K. Lane out in Brooklyn, and she actually got kind of pushed out her senior year. But he had a program for single mothers that my mom used to take the train from Brooklyn to Manhattan for computers. So she got certified taking this course. Because I was Native, they had a spot called the Indian House of All Natives, of all nations, where I could go get babysat for free in Manhattan. So she would take me on the train, drop me off, go to her class. She gonna learn. And then she got certified and was able to use that when the tribe opened up Foxwoods. Yeah. So she started off, but like anything, she started off in the bathrooms and then eventually was able to use her certification, moved over to the tribal side and moved her way up to being like a director, right? And all that. But like that was through the process and that took, 15 years. But she thugged it out, went back to school, did all that. So, right, that blueprint, right, of like that working two jobs, right? Like just seeing that was one example. But I would just say coming here for that, right? And then being here, I didn't say my first word till I was 4. Right, I had a speech impediment, a heavy one for about 10 years after that, and it wasn't until we went swimming for the first time. I was about 6 or 7, and I went swimming. I think I was over at Gardeners Lake back when that was open, and my grandmother was like, "Hey, what's up with you?" And I was like, "Yo, it still feels like I'm underwater," and I found out I had water in my inner ear. So if you can't hear, right, you can't repeat the words that are coming out if you're struggling. So with that, what would happen is that they actually took me to Bacchus, and then I got my ears drained. But I'm like 7, 8 years old, and I used to have these really bad ear infections. Then I stopped having ear infections. They gave me ear tubes. But now I'm in these special ed classes because of my speech impediment. Damn. Right? And then we from around the way, right? So like I'm going to every elementary school. I'm living in Willie, living in Groton, back in Norwich, right? Like we trying to figure it out, right? But before I had passion, hunger, and drive, I had pain, hatred, and destruction. But I think I say all that to say, when I was about 13, I was at Teachers Memorial, and I remember like, yo, I'm about to go to high school, I'm about to go to NFA, and I'm like, I can't have the speech impediment, bro. Like I got to figure it out. And that summer, I remember reading these Goosebumps books. And I'm fighting through, and I'm ripping pages, and I'm angry, and I'm speaking to like little stuffed animals. Then I'm speaking to my siblings, and then I'm like, then I start like, reading to my friends and stuff, because I had like a real like phobia. But it was the work every day, just understanding that like I was getting a little bit better, and then eventually like I grew the courage to speak in class, and then eventually like my junior senior year, now something like I'm captain of the sports team. President of the TV club, like I'm doing stuff, and I'm like, they had me MC an event, right? But to see the work get there, right? I think that was something like that ability to go to that cookie jar and understand like that idea, have a vision, right? Because as a man, we had to manifest, right? And that vision of what that is, and to apply that work every day, knowing that like I don't see the wall, but like I can lay this brick down as perfectly as I can today and do the same thing tomorrow.
I like that. Because I'd be so worried about finding where I'm going to get the bricks from. If the brick's going to be too heavy for me to put it on my own wall. I'd be so, my mind just be so, I care, Yeah. Back to our conversation earlier, that's what I said, when it comes to this, I don't really be, trying to tell people A, B, and C. Because I care, and especially if you're good at what you do, I'm really going to care for you. Yeah. But I really hear you on how it took every day. It's a daily thing. It's truthfully a daily thing. So now how does faith play into all of this? Because I know you're a man of faith. So when did faith start to play into all this?
My grandmother, right? I was living in Groton, and she used to take me over to Shiloh
Baptist Church.
And man, I remember I don't think I ever said this like out loud, but like I remember vividly like one day she was like, man, the preacher was preaching the service, and she's kind of she's tearing up, she's crying. I'm like, hey, why are you crying? And I'm almost like, why are you crying? I'm not crying, right? Like, what's up? What did I miss? And she's just like, I'm caught in the spirit. Like God, I'm so happy God has, given you your voice. Like she has such a grace and gratitude. And I remember just like her being filled with the spirit and just me like going on this journey. Cause like I used to live with her and then I lived back with my mother. My mother didn't really go to church like that. Now she had it, right? Like we be listening to the songs on Saturday afternoon, or Saturday mornings, cooking,
when she cleaning
and stuff. You feel me?
And that bleach.
But I used to go down the street and shout out to Miss Capel. She used to take me to church with her. She used to drive me to church, and like I was like 13, 14, I would take myself, and I'd be like, because they were just always just calling in me, right? That there was something bigger than me. But then I definitely was on my prodigal son. Right? Like I got popular. I went to college. I wanted to live the life. And something that I could tell you this is that as a man, women in my life have always challenged me to be better.
It's crazy you say that because I believe that.
And then what it just was, whether it was my grandmother, whether it was my mother, and then shout outs to my wife. So when I was out here acting a fool, 24, 25, like, yo, look, my wife came into my life, and then she kind of hit me with the like, yo, if this is really gonna work out. Now my wife is a cradle Christian, so like she's like, you gonna have to start coming to church with me. And the boy in me wanted to be defensive, like, who you talking to? Who you? Right? But like, I took a minute to chew on it and just was like, this ain't an obligation, it's an opportunity, right? Because it was the shame that was stopping me. You did all these things, but like. Right, and that's what I said it's a prodigal son. Like I'll eat with the pigs versus just go home. And the minute I went home, not only was he outside the house, he was running towards me. Right, like he never left. As soon as I turned left, he was there. And for me, it was like riding a bike. And then I was fruitful and multiplied. It was, and it was that. Like it was that, and it was so much. I'm be real, it was so much easier because it wasn't all on me no more, bruh. Right? Like when I was weak, he is strong, right? Like he gives me my increase, like because you know how it is being a man.
It's rough.
It is.
I don't care what nobody says. This thing is rough.
It's rough, man. And I think with that specifically, right, we're called to be the head of the family, right? I'm called to love my wife as Christ loved the church. That is a heavy ask. But when I fall short, right, I got somebody to lean on, right? That gives me a different power, right? Like it gives me a different gear. That gives me the ability to stretch myself where in places I'm uncomfortable. In places that like I kept in the dark. Right? Because my wife sees me as a better man than I actually am, and I strive every day to try to be the man she thinks I am.
That. Holy crap! I feel like I'm talking to like an older version of myself because I literally be trying to put all my friends onto this type of game, but it's hard to understand when you're going through it.
Yes.
And I think I'm hitting at the point now. I love how your wife stepped in and told you to take your tail back to church. That's important. That's like. Because nowadays, especially with my generation and TikTok, Facebook, all this other this craziness, bro. Don't nobody want to go back to the source. It's so crazy because I was telling myself yesterday, I was like, yo, you need to tap back into your source. And I like how you said when you turned around, he was running towards you.
Towards me.
Like that joint is so real because I always prayed and asked God. I said, God, I know I would leave you sometimes, but in spirit, please, when I come back, may I pick up from where I left off. Don't make me, because church sometimes they try to make you feel like childlike almost. You know like the prodigal son, you coming back. That shame, that shame, bro. The wet dog effect. That's what I've been calling it for a couple of years. And I had to get. It took me almost 4 years to get out of that. Almost 4. Now, mind you, I just went from preaching every Sunday. I was traveling in Hartford. I was preaching everywhere, and then it just flipped like that. But I battled with the man part, and that's why I never got a manifestation. I'm stealing that from you, bro, because I was fired.
No, we got to. I think as men, we got to always go shopping, right? Like I had manhood by committee, right? I had to go shopping every time you interact, right? Like it's this idea that like, okay, I like what that brother's talking about. Like I got to be humble enough to go shopping because when I do that, it makes me better because I got a boy now, right? And I can't get what I don't have, right? And as his father, right? If you add an R in there, my job is to push him farther.
Goddamn. Wow.
Right, and you gotta when you understand where right like where your pearls are, right, where your jewels are. There's nothing more important, right? Like I go and hopefully I do some dope stuff and like I'm able to fulfill my potential and do all these great things, right? But at the end of the day, something I had to learn when I was like 26, 27 was that I was giving the world my best and my family my leftovers. And I couldn't do that. There's things that happen in my life. I go from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. telling nobody so my wife can get my initial excitement.
Wow.
Because she deserves that. She deserves, right? If I can't get a hold of it, she deserves that.
That's a fact.
She don't deserve it to be the 8th time I told it. Right? She don't deserve me to go out here and give everybody else the best of me and to come home and be like up to here already. To come home and my bucket's full. My kids don't. I don't got to. I had to learn that I don't got, like, and it comes from feeling like that. Working a 14-hour day, coming home and being like, yo, I gotta change diapers? Y'all want me to, don't you know I was breaking my back? You
ain't got no food made?
Man, bruh.
Bro, I feel like I'm talking to an older version of myself because, yeah, you right.
But then it got to a point where it was just like, I don't got to, I get to, man. I get to come home, roll up these sleeves and bust these dishes down. I get to, right, rub my wife's feet. I get to read these kids, give them a bath and read a book to these kids, right? Because I'm always training them and I'm always loving her, right? Like that's the biggest thing, right? Because I think for me, like love is important, but respect is more important for me, right? But I got to give her something to respect, right? When I come home,
that's a fact.
If I'm calling myself the leader of the family, right? Like if I'm the captain, like. Attitude reflects leadership.
Yeah.
Right? So if things are going wrong, it's because, right, there's something that I'm doing that's wrong. Right? Like I'm not being a systems level leader. Like I'm not providing provision for my family the correct way. And when doing that, that's a pendulum swing. Because there's times when, man, listen, I went to Houston for a couple of days this past weekend.
No, you did.
Went out there.
Wow.
Was out there with some good brothers, right?
What's up?
Shout outs to Black Wealth Renaissance. Went out there with some good brothers out there, and then I came back home, and when you come back, like I came back, it was 2 a.m. My son's up at 6 o'clock. Hey, bro, right? You got to get up and handle your business because they ain't booked my flight to come home at 2 o'clock. That's not for them. I still got to get up and provide. I still got to get up and make the breakfast. I still got to get up and handle my handle, right? Because when I was in college, if I had the flu, if my ankle was swollen, if my knee felt like it couldn't bend, I still play the game. I still go drop 20. So when I got to get up at 6, you're playing ball. So when I get up at 6, it's the same attitude. It's the same energy. Yo, bro, I get you tired, but you still got to go drop 20. You still got to go get up little man, read him a book, clean him up, get him ready, talk to your kids, give them your affirmations. Right, you still gotta go pour into them. You'll figure out to sleep later. Right, but it's that level of, because at the same time, like my wife just spent 3 days with them. Right, and it's like, nah, she can sleep in a little bit. Let me handle my handle.
Handle my handle. That's a new one too. Hey y'all, we getting a whole lot of good gems right now because holy smokes. So let me ask you now. Back in your college days, let me take you to your young, wild, buck wild days. Bring me to your buck wild days because
cool.
A lot of us are there. You know what I mean? And my people, we're getting older. There's one thing I've noticed. My back starts hurting a little bit more every year. I'm still here. So we're getting a little bit older, right? A lot of us is trying to buck wild from 21 to 28 and thinking that at 32, you're going to hit success. Or you're thinking at 32, you know, your mindset gonna be where you want it to be. You thinking you're gonna have it all together, but you took 7 years, buck wild. So let's say I'm a young man right now who's buck wild. I'm drinking, I'm smoking every day, I'm cussing, doing all this other stuff. Now, I'm not even going to put nobody down for doing all that type of stuff because you got to go through that to get to where we got to get. So I'm that person right now. What's some advice that you would give to that young man sparking that blunt right now? Don't know if he want this chick, that chick, ain't even got his place to stay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's real out here.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
You gotta, as a young man, you gotta create your own frame. What I mean by that is, you gotta start being now who you want to be. You gotta move with the end in mind, right? Like, what is it that you want, like in your progression in life? So I give you an example is, when I work with young people, I mean young, mean like that 18 to 25 especially. There's stages, first off, right? Sometimes we think like trying to be a boy to a man. You have to earn that. See, as men, we have to become. Right? We don't get that luxury of just showing up. So like there's a boy, there's a man, but then you have to become a mentor. Right? You get to a place, I remember about 4 years ago, I started getting a yo, big bro. Right? I used to be the young boy. And then there's a yo, big bro, yo, big bro, right? Yo, can you spend some time? Can I pick your brain? Can we get right? And it's like, can you help me? I understood. I transitioned into the mentor, and then, but see, then you turn into the patriarch. And what I'm saying though is that if you're starting with the end in mind and you're the patriarch, stop living by default and start living by design. You're the architect of this, and if I'm building a skyscraper, if I'm building that empire that you want, then the understanding is that you have to start becoming what it is now, preparing yourself for that because it's not a light switch. It's compound interest. So when people see me, like, me and my wife just hit 10 years.
Congrats. Shout out to that.
Yeah. And what I can tell you is that we're in a place now because of compound interest, right? Because one, we didn't give up. Two, we understood that it was going to, like psychologically, like this is going to be work, right? But like as a man, to get to that place, you have to start becoming the man that your wife's going to respect, right? That your children are going to respect, that can give to their family, that can, I'll give you an example, I'll give you an acronym. If you're going to be a man, you have to be meaningful, active, and necessary, right? And when I mean that, I mean meaningful is that you have to live with integrity, right? What you say and what you do have to be like a hand in a glove, right? Your word is bond, like who you are, right? And what you do, what you reflect, right? For me, it's not about the Instagram posts. It's not about the Facebook posts. I live my integrity between the posts, right? I live my integrity in the dark between the stars. You feel me? And with that is that people go, yo, you're such a great father. You don't know that. I go ask my kids though. They'll certify that though, right? I don't need the Instagram stuff. Too many people do that. Go ask my wife if I'm a good husband, right? Because I can tell you one thing, right, is that I put in the 10,000 hours, right? I put in the mastery and understanding who she is, right? I read the 1,000 books before kindergarten with my children. I spent the time to invest in them, right? Because that's who I am. But you can't give what you do not have. So if you're designing your life, what do you want it to look like? And we have to stop. And I'm no different, but like, I remember, like I told you, my wife had challenged me about going to church, and that was powerful. But before that, my wife had asked me out a couple times, and I had said no, because I wasn't in a place. You might have been together since I was 24. Dang. So you gotta think, like I'm like in.
Dang, you're 10 years married.
You feel me?
God, y'all got some history,
right? So we 10 years married. That was 09. So. That's like December 09, but like it was December 09 we started kicking it, and to now. So like, you really look at that, but it was, she already knew, she saw in me, which was the beauty of it. She saw my potential. But you can't live on potential. And for me, I was on some like, I was finding myself, and I was like, look, I'm moving to Boston. Like I got some things I got to do. I have to find my own frame. I got to figure out who I am. Right? If I jump into a relationship with you, we moving together, and all, I'm finding who I am through you. I need to find first. I had to find who I am, and then by finding who I am, I understood that what was missing in my life was in the shape of a cross. And when you hit me with that, I understood I had to find God. And then after I found God, then I found you. Because then I was able to give you the godly man that I could be.
About to make me cry because he talking that good talk.
You feel me? And with that, I had gotten myself, because at the time, right, I might have been younger, but like, I was like, yo, I need to get baptized, right? Because I understand now. I understand the calling, right? That where I'm at, and it was just so symbolic for me, right? This is 2011. And after that, it just was like this. Life just went. And I guess I know I'm giving you a long answer to it, but where I'm going with it, I think at the end of the day is I had to become, before I could let her in, so that the foundation was strong enough for us to build on top of.
So I like it because I'm starting to realize you have to have compassion, right? You have to have a level of understanding with that other person, even if it's not even a relationship. Like I have a best friend, I have a female best friend. And it's funny that you said you had that person that you could lean on, that they would know you're not okay, but they don't see you for where you are then. They see you for when you wipe them tears off. They see you for when you put the weed down, or you put the drinking down, or you put the tricking down. Like they see you beyond that. I think nowadays we're getting to a point where nobody wants to see beyond, right? And it makes it even harder when you're in a small town that, businesses aren't really, we have businesses, but they're not supported. Let's be honest. The states, everybody could do better is what I'm basically trying to say. But to have that compassion for somebody, and like you said, I don't like potential no more. I always used to bank on potential. I used to bank on it. That's why I had a kid. That's my first child. I wasn't nervous. Everybody was asking me. I was like, I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm gonna be a good dad. The potential of it. Oh, I'm cool. Yeah, she a good girl. Yeah, we gonna be all right. Not knowing that, not even before that child popped out, it hit the fan, and I had to realize I didn't really have that potential that I said I had. I was giving myself a false hope, and at the end of the day, though, I wasn't putting my feet on the floor. I wasn't doing what I had to do. Like lately, I've been escaping a lot. I call them escape days, where I won't do nothing. I'll just escape. I'm over here putting my business out there, but I don't care, y'all. I just escape because I'm like, number one, who cares? I had to learn to a degree, nobody really cares about you, right? We got to really recognize that. They just care about what you bring to them and how you make them feel. I had to learn that for myself. And then I had to flip it for myself. I was like, I don't care about you. I don't care about you because you bring no value to me. So I had to start pulling these pieces of pain and the pieces of the purpose, really, to the people that I'm around, to the relationships that I hold, to the conversations that I speak. I had to really think like, yo, do I care? Am I acting like I care? I got tired of acting. And I think as men, we act too much. Come on, we act like I ain't even gonna do it because we just be acting worse than the females. I'll be honest with you.
I hear you. I would say this to what you said is that, well, a question I guess I have for you is, do you feel like you were acting as if you cared more about what man thought than God thought?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, right, that pendulum is like, one, it sounded like you started doing the audit of your circle, which is extremely important, right? Because if we're going to elevate, right, the honesty is that there's some people that can't come, right? Because they're not, that relationship sometimes was based on location, right? Not necessarily projection, right? So I'm in a different place, and you're still operating somewhere else, and if I'm on this higher learning, if I'm leveling up, we need to level up together, right? We need to be in a place where like, actually, I can support what it is that you do, right? Because you get to design who's around you, but we only have a bandwidth. So to your point is that I only keep myself around people that actually do care about the real me, because that's all they know. Because I didn't give them the mask. And then I had to learn, and it's tough because I care a lot, right? Like I'm somebody where like family, friend, like I don't have friends, I got family. Like these things mean so much to me. But at the end of the day, as I was progressing, there was some people where it's like they really rocked with you. Like you rock with Malik. And then there's other people you rock with what I provide, what I do. And I had to see that for what it is. And then I had to make sure that like right? Because remember, even the devil will hate you, right? And it's like, nah, I still got love for you, but I need to love you from a distance. And it's just that relationship with certain people. And then I just recreated my circle. And when I did that, now I'm in a circle, right? That's totally. There's some people that are with me, but it's totally different. But now we think and we operate, and I don't have to talk I don't have to talk in a way that's not the voice that I have now. That's not the life I want to live now. That's not the things that I'm into now, right? Like the brothers I went out, yo, you trying to travel? Let's travel. Right? Versus like, oh man, like going to New Haven and hitting the boulevard is traveling. Right? Like I hear you, but that's not fam.
I can't stand that mindset.
Like we out. Let's get it. Like you want to elevate. You want to let's start this business up. Let's go half on this. Let's go get this property. Let's get it. Let's roll. Let's operate. Let's hold each other accountable. Hey fam, I saw this whoopty whoop.
That part too.
Or you talking about wifey, I hear you, but where's your half of it? I need you to be accountable for that too. Right? And it's like that those relationships I have now, they elevate me, they feed me. You know what I mean?
I feel you. So in your daily routines, what is something that you do to keep yourself spiritual? Some of us, we read when we wake up, we pray when we wake up, we hit the daily bread, everybody got the little daily bread book. So what is something that, because I lost that for myself. Yeah. I was the guy, man, I'd be up 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, just hitting the Thorish, like I'm in it. I'm like, who's Michael the Angel? You know what I mean? Like I used to do it, and I don't know if I wouldn't say I lost it, right? I wouldn't say I lost that drive because, dude, I want to do it every day. You know what I mean? I think I fell into this whole what's this word I'm looking for? This whole part of if I do this like this every time, I will be like this. I'd be that guy. I'd be Benny Hinn. I'd be all these different guys out here. Then I realized, well, I'm doing all this every day. I'm getting mad wisdom, mad knowledge. I got no understanding.
I hear you. So one thing that helps me is that in the beginning of the year, I found this book a while ago, and then I consistently read it now, which is called The Miracle Morning. And I love this book. Did it again this January. I like to start my year off that way. But it gets me back in the routine. And it's just like getting up an hour earlier than you typically would and taking time. And people like to use different words like meditate, take time to pray. And then that really allows me to filter my thoughts and really be very focused on the day-to-day small stuff. Because it's funny when you watch your children pray and they pray about all the little things. Right? My little son, we prayed this morning before breakfast, right? We're praying and he's just like, thank you, God, for the food. Thank you, God for the boat. Thank you for Noah, right? Because he's learning that in church, right? But like, it's so little, but like, yeah, like it's these little things. Thank you, God, for my friend. Thank you, God, for the snow. But we're told to be like children, right? And it's like that enthusiasm, that understanding and gratitude. So I think for me, starting off just with that idea of like that prayer and like meditation, that to filter my thoughts. Then the other thing is the affirmations, right? The gratitude and like affirming, like kind of like having this stanza of like who I am and being able to fill myself with that, but like who I am through God's eyes, right? And then also like that gratitude part of like, what am I so grateful for? Because I tell you, it's easy to go what you not, right? What you need God to show up in. And there's nothing wrong with that, but like that part there, and then like I'm very purposeful in like trying to pick a person and then send it to them. So like for my wife about, I want to say like the end of January, like I wrote her just like 1-page thing, but I left it on the table, right? Because I wanted her to see it, but then I wanted the kids to see it, right? Because I got 2 daughters, right? And a son, right? I got an 8 and a 5-year-old.
Oh, nice gap. So
now they pull up and they like, Dad, you wrote this for Mom? And right, the 8-year-old starts reading it, right? And it's just like me telling my wife all the reasons I'm grateful for her, right? And for her just to know that, right? Like that was on my mind at just 5:30 in the morning, right? Like, and I just focused on like this and all the things and reasons I'm grateful for, all even the things I could see micro that have a macro impact, right? And you to see how that fuels your partner, right? And the idea that that you see them in this way, that what they're doing is hitting, right? And that they're grateful for you. And that's so important. And I think for me, like that helps. And then obviously like getting some time in the Word. And I think being real, more recently, it's been like two things: my Bible app on the daily, right, and having a couple brothers that like, yo, let's tap in and like kind of have like a little journey together on what we studying. And then the second thing is teaching.
I like that.
Because accountability. As men, we need accountability.
Yeah, I'm about to connect with you because.
Yeah. And then on the other part is teaching. See, when you think about the pyramid of learning, lecturing is the right. Preaching, lecturing is is 5% is retained.
It's a fact,
right? When you get down to teaching it though, interacting and to your point, chewing on it and then assessing and reassessing life and application. That's the highest form of learning. So when I'm teaching it, I got to be able to look at it like I got something I'm teaching on Sunday. Where I'm sitting here right now, and we're finishing up something on the Holy Spirit, and I got to interact with that throughout the week. So by the time I get to them on Sunday, I'm looking at all these ways in my life of how I'm interacting with the Holy Spirit, right? And how the Spirit is either being filled or not being filled in my life and in other people's. And then now, by the time I get there, right, it's not this lesson; it's this lens that I'm living with.
Dang, you just opened my mind because literally, and if you're a viewer, I know I have a lot of different audiences. So this is my faith-based people. That's a good edit. So you really got to look at where the Holy Spirit is being fulfilled or not in your day-to-day walk. You really got me over here thinking about this because now I'm like, ain't no spirit in that. Ain't no spirit in that conversation.
Man, listen. I can tell you this. By doing the processing, especially more recently, and there's been, God's so good, there's been some podcasts I've been able to listen to, tapped on this. If he's not there, I don't want to be there. If he is not there, even if it's the promised land, I don't want to be there. Right? And shout out to Tim Ross. Shout out to the base, right? But like that concept, right? Like if he is not there, if God isn't present in that space, in that relationship, in that action, in that right, it becomes so present and that even if it's everything I hoped for, everything I manifested in my mind, I don't want to be there because I want to be nowhere where he's not at, where he's not holding me down, where he's not hugging me, where I can't lean on him. Where I can't go, Abba, Father. But my daddy's not there.
Dang, you hitting me because I'm telling you, these pods turn into therapy somehow. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking like, everywhere I go, he's not there. But why do we keep going back, even though he's not there? Like,
well, I tell you this. For me, I can really keep it personal, local in the media. Is that am I being purposeful in why I'm going there? Because am I going there to bring him? So the question is he not there because I didn't bring him? Because everywhere I go, he needs to go.
We be leaving him in the car.
We be leaving him in the car because I care about judgment, right? Because I carry that shame, right? And because the devil makes it easy to say yes. Makes it easy to say yes. And the thing with God is that you might get a couple no's before that yes comes. And it's so important because like you don't drift towards something good, you would drift away from it. And so as much as I'm talking now, like I have the daily battle. So the same struggle, same question, but this is why you have to have your Proverbs 31 because and to be real, this is why you have to have a wife like that who will see that. And see you and know those things don't match. But you have to be man enough to understand that that's her role.
Yeah, you gotta be man enough.
Right? You're gonna feel, right? What you talking about? I can't hang out with, I can't go do, that's her role. That's what she's here. Because it sound good, right? When I say, oh, you gotta get you a Proverbs 31.
You know, everybody love that.
Yeah, but when you live it, you hella defensive. Right? When you live it, right, now all of a sudden she don't know what she's talking about. Right? But it's not. You just don't want her to shine the light when it's dark.
That's hard to accept.
Because there's pieces of you that you haven't given to God yet.
Yeah, it's all going back to the source.
Mm-hmm.
It all goes back to that.